Blog Talk Radio.
In as promised, Academy Award-winning documentary filmmaker Michael Moore. Michael, good evening.
Good evening, Keith.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is Rachel Maddow. Good evening, Rachel.
Good evening, Keith.
There's been a spike in the desire to own guns in Connecticut. Statewide, over 90,000 guns have been authorized for sale. You know how I feel about it.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Good evening, my fellow patriots. It is Wednesday,
November 6th. Man, the year is just flying by. Leaves are falling here in the great state of Wisconsin. Pretty much all across North America, leaves are falling. It's incredible. I was talking to some friends up in upper Wisconsin, and they said it's just nature's fireworks and everything. Man, we got a jammed packed show for you tonight. We actually have a author, former Navy pilot, former mayor, and just his accolades go on and on. He's going to be joining us here after the break, Richard Muti. And, then after that, we will, in the second hour, we'll take callers and talk about topics of the day, obviously, with the Obamacare hearings and everything on the Senate. We have some more updates as far as that goes. Some new tax implications that are coming down the pipe for us Americans. We'll do that, and we'll obviously just take your calls. But if you'd like to join in the conversation, you could always reach us at www.TheMidnightPatriot.com. That's www.TheMidnightPatriot.com. And when you go out to the site, you're going to see something a little bit different. I promised you. I told you it was coming, and I told you that we would probably have it up and running before Obamacare's website was. And that's our new hybrid phone system. And also, we listen to you here at the Midnight Patriot. We also included a 1-800 number that you can call into that hybrid. Now, you won't be able to call in until the second hour. It's actually it's all computerized and digital, and we have it turned off as we have special guests and stuff. So go out to the website. But for those that are listening that can't get to the web, our new call-in numbers are 347-205-9899. That's 347-205-9899. And the new 1-800 number is 1-800-580-4870. That's 1-800-580-4870. So, I come to you with a little bit of a heavy heart. There was a segment that we do called Honor the Fallen. And we haven't done it at all this month. But in the second hour, unfortunately, we have a name to add to the list. So we will also do our Honor the Fallen segment in the second hour for those that have been asking me why we haven't been doing that like we normally do every night. Because in the month of November, we've been blessed as a country that we haven't lost a soldier until today. So we'll do that in the second hour. Of course, we'll have news, take your calls and everything. We're going to take a short break here. When we get back, of course, we will be talking to author Richard Muti. I have a hard time with that. I'm sure he'll correct me when he gets on the line. He's listening now. Excellent book. Essays for My Father is entitled his book. Now, you'll be able to also go out to our website under the products page and have a direct link to purchase that. And then after we post the show tonight, there will also be a banner ad with the post. So when we get back, we'll have Richard Muti.
In a moment, cancer changed our lives forever.
We were told nothing could be done to enjoy these final moments together.
But in that moment, when all seemed lost,
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital gave us hope.
Because at this moment, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital is saving lives with pioneering research and care. We're changing the way the world treats childhood cancer by sharing our discoveries with doctors and scientists everywhere.
And we'll never have to pay St. Jude for anything, ever.
At this moment, she wants to be in her own bed.
I want to be back at school with my friends.
I want to be outside playing.
Please take a moment and join St. Jude in finding cures and saving
Oh, Dad, it's my time machine.
Does it work?
Sure, just hit this button.
Whoa, dinosaurs. Cool.
Or we can go here.
Hey, that's Napoleon.
Oui.
Or we can go to the future.
Wow, hey, you have this nice house. Do I have a nice house?
No, you didn't save any money. Always spent it on vacations and stuff.
If only there was a way I could go back in time and correct that bad habit.
Yep.
Okay, the time machine is not real, but the saving thing is. Get in the habit of putting some of your money in savings each week through a 401k, savings account, or financial investments. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy tips on saving, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
What does this crazy little button do?
Wait, no!
This message brought to you by the American...
You're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You can join us here every weekday night from 9 p.m. Central Standard Time till 12 a.m. Monday through Friday. Wow. You know, it's amazing. I for those that know me, I'm usually not at loss for words, but for some reason, and I know why, but every time I talk about that segment that we do for the honor the fallen, it gets to me. I always get choked up about that and everything. It's just one of those things. I don't know what it is. Well, I know what it is, but you'd think after doing it for so long that I'd get used to it, but I never get used to that type of ceremony or respect that we do here. So, but we got to move on. As I said earlier, we have a distinguished author, Richard Muti on the line. He's going to be talking to us about his book. So let me give you guys a little bit of background about Richard. So he's got over 100 publishing credits, mostly having to do with public policy, law, politics, and government. Spent 19 years as a successful trial prosecutor, and has also taught writing, American government and politics, criminal justice, and history at 3 New Jersey universities. He's a graduate of the United States Naval Academy, Harvard Business School, and Rutgers Law School, as well as a former Navy pilot and former mayor of Ramsey, New Jersey, his hometown. Muti currently serves on the Ramsey Board of Education as a trustee and for public school systems in which he, his father, and dozens of other family members were educated. So with that, I'd like to introduce everybody. Hey, Richard, how are you, buddy?
Great to be with you, Jeff. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh no, thanks for being here. It's very, we're getting a name for ourselves. We are starting to get some guests, name host guests, but I'll have to tell you, you're at the top of the list. I'm so honored to have you on the show and have you take the time out of your evening, your busy evening and everything to talk with the listeners and kind of give some of your insight. With your background, everything we pretty much talk about, I'm sure you have something to add to the conversation.
Seems like a good fit with your
show. Absolutely. So, I'll have to say, I read a lot. I mean, obviously with what we do here at the Midnight Patriot and everything. And I know that we talked about this the other day. When I read your book, we talk about affecting change here at the show and putting an idea in someone's head and letting it grow and everything. I will tell you, there was, and we talked about this. I mean, full disclosure to the audience, this is nothing new to Richard. I'm going to, say here. And so your views on capital punishment and in your book, and we're going to talk about, audience, Essays for My Father, which is a book that, one of many books that Richard's written that we're going to talk a little bit heavily about tonight, and then probably get into some of the other books. But your views on capital punishment and the arguments that you made on that, actually, I had to read those several times not just once or twice, because you changed my views. I mean, I had the view that if you commit a capital crime, murder, you're gone. There's no use for you in today's society, or there shouldn't be. And then, with you came out
that article that you cite, Jeff. It's titled "Rethinking Capital Punishment."
Yeah.
It's probably one of the most successful articles I've ever written. I wrote it about 11 years ago, and it was published as a featured piece in the Bergen Record, New Jersey's second largest newspapers, and it got probably an outstanding response. At the time that was published, New Jersey had a death penalty statute in place. It has since then eliminated, repealed that death penalty statute and replaced it with a life without the possibility of parole punishment for capital murder. But I was really proud of that article. I did a great deal of research on it. It was rather a lengthy article. Newspapers usually don't like to publish articles of that length. I think it was probably close to 3,000 words.
Yeah, I mean, in the arguments that you made, I was sitting there going, well, wait a minute. The law is tilted towards, the guilty. I mean, that's what we're taught. It's always, tilted towards the guilty in essence, because the last thing we want to do is put an innocent man on death row, or an innocent person, I should say, on death row. But what you pointed out, and you pretty clear about it, is that there are a lot of individuals that are on death row through genetics and everything we're finding out shouldn't be there, and we created we just did a heinous crime by executing individuals that didn't didn't do the crime and stuff. So you've woken me up.
The evidence was there. I mean, I cited one example of the Oklahoma City police scientists, so to speak. I put that word in quotation marks, testifying in probably 3,000 criminal cases in Oklahoma City, testifying for the state. And the state of Oklahoma had occasion to review some of her findings, and I think they investigated 8 cases, and in 5 of those cases, her conclusions were absolutely contrary to legitimate analysis of the evidence. And she had testified in, I think, more than 20 death penalty cases, and that resulted in convictions based in large measure on her testimony. And when they exposed her as being really junk science, it was her specialty, not real science. When they exposed her, it was too late for 11 of the convicted defendants in capital murder cases that she testified in. For 11 of them, they had already been executed. Now, we don't know if the science was junk science in those particular cases, but chances are she had a record of sloppiness. Chances are that it was. Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's just go to Illinois. In my research after reading your articles, I started to look at that. And Illinois has a history where the former governor of Illinois actually just canceled all death row and then they found out, I think there was 15 on death row, and 8 of them, after they did the genetic testing and all that, found out that they weren't guilty. They couldn't have been there at the time, and it's just amazing. Now we have in Chicago, they have a sheriff who they're doing a prosecution on, which he's been accused of coercing testimonies out of victims. I'll call them victims at this time because they were victims of the system, and the old mobster. It's just amazing that you think that type of brutality still goes on, but it doesn't take you long to go on YouTube. You see, we have a Skokie police officer in Illinois who a lady was DUI, and he threw her into a concrete bench, in the cell. So it's just amazing. Just amazing how that works. But, I'd like to get your point of view, though, on it, because I know that you were a prosecutor, and you relied heavily on that type of evidence in your prosecutions. And you're fairly a successful prosecutor. I think you said you had a 99% conviction rate.
Yes, I was a prosecutor both at the municipal level and at the county level. Juries are only used at the county level, and I've tried a bunch of jury cases ranging from burglary right up to murder. Most of my convictions, I spent 11 of those 19 years as a municipal prosecutor, so I probably have about 2,000 drunk driving convictions under my belt, but those were before a judge only. But, the death penalty, I kind of have mixed feelings about it, Jeff, to be honest. Everyone who read the article automatically assumed that I was a death penalty opponent right down the line, and I guess I lean toward that view because of the egregious examples that both you and I have cited. I mean, Texas is really the capital punishment mecca of the United States right now with all of the death penalties that are handed down in that state, and it hasn't been uniformly applied. I mean, the quality of defense work in many cases. There have been some cited court cases where a defense counsel fell asleep at the table during the course of a murder trial, and his client was convicted, and those sorts of things, horror stories, happen far too often. But when I get down to it, I think with the science that we have available now, DNA evidence, and its high degree of reliability, assuming that the evidence was collected properly and analyzed properly. I think in certain circumstances, I think we should leave it to a jury to have the option of imposing the death penalty. And I say that with a great deal of respect for juries, because I've been before at least 50 of them, and they get it right most of the time. And if we allow them in certain cases, and when I say certain cases, I mean, the examples of a repeat child murderer or something like that, cases where you have a Jeffrey Dahmer or a serial killer. That I have one book out about that type of case. I think society needs to have that option, and I'm willing to place that option in the hands of 12 jurors with a couple of conditions. Number one, that there will be irrefutable scientific evidence that links the defendant to the crime beyond a reasonable doubt. That would be an absolute requirement, because you can't rely strictly on confessions. You can't rely strictly on eyewitness testimony. Many states now are allowing defense counsel to bring in defense experts to talk about with the jury the unreliability of eyewitness testimony in many instances. So you can't rely on it as an absolute slam dunk in many cases. If the lighting is poor, in some cases where the race of the witness and the race of the defendant are different, the chances are greater for a misidentification. Jailhouse snitches. You can't rely on these convicted criminals who tell a story to prosecutors and then tell it in court because they're out to get something. They're out to get leniency on their own sentences, and they've already demonstrated that they don't have any respect for the law. So why should they have any respect for the oath to tell the truth when they testify as a witness at trial? So there are many risky areas of any trial, let alone a death penalty trial, and that's why I think it really needs to be off the table in most cases. 99 out of 100 cases, but in certain cases, I think there has to be a mechanism. Clearly, we can't decide on what all of the safeguards would be during an interview like this, but there has to be some thought given to a way that there's virtually no chance for a mistake to be made.
Sure. And I, that, I guess that's where the temperance comes in for me, is that I went from, well, if you kill someone and you're, convicted by a jury, boom, automatic, to, well, maybe we need to back off from that, because in some of the research, I actually came across a video where, and I think they do it now pretty much for all law schools, where, they did it at this one, it was a 2020, where they ran in, a guy stole a purse, and there was all law students, or, pre-law students. Guy stole a purse, and then they came in and interviewed all the students, and not one of them got the description of the gentleman right or correct.
Sure.
They were wrong.
And that's a great exercise to conduct in a law school class. It sure is, because it opens the eyes of all the students to the risk of witnesses being wrong.
Yes. So this is one thing I've always had a question about, and maybe you can give our listeners some insight. You have two, obviously you have the defense and you have the prosecution. And what you see, our exposure to the legal system, thank God for most Americans, is what they see on TV. Is it actually that argumentative amongst the defense and the prosecution in the real world, or is it more of a, because you see that all the time. You see defense attorneys and prosecution going at each other and pretty much, and is it in the real world, is it really like that? Are they really going out for each other's, I want to say, throats?
Well, you must conduct yourself with civility in a courtroom, and judges, some more successfully than others, are supposed to maintain order and decorum in the courtroom. But it is a struggle. It is an adversarial system, and I approached all of my trials with the idea that I was going to prevail in those trials, because I knew that the defendant was guilty. I didn't have any doubts about the guilt of the defendant. I wouldn't have indicted the defendant or conducted the trial if I had serious doubts about the guilt of the defendant. So I knew the defendant was guilty. In a small percentage, the jury or the judge didn't agree with me, but for the most part I was successful because I did my homework and I approached the case aggressively, but with professionalism too. And I think in that regard, the television shows, the movies, maybe sensationalize it a little bit, because that's what the audience has come to expect. But I found that my trials were that way. Now, whether they were that way in a civil case rather than a criminal case, I couldn't say. I haven't tried many civil cases. I was primarily a trial prosecutor, so I didn't get involved with a lot of civil courtroom work. But I would say on the criminal side, yes, it's aggressive, and yes, both sides need to score points with the jury. That's how you do it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad I didn't go into your profession then, because I don't think I would be able to control myself in such adversarial kind of things. I have a hard enough time sometimes here on the radio keeping it clean. So, well, you're listening to a conversation that we're having with author Richard Muti, and I will make sure that I ask him how to pronounce his last name correctly, because I'm sure I'm getting it wrong. So join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. That's www.themidnightpatriot.com.
I had PTSD. Once I was back from Iraq, I was distant from everybody in my family.
We had a reunion of our unit, and you hear these spouses say, "Is your husband doing that? My husband's doing that too. I thought it was just us." And really understanding that, hey, this is a common experience.
I learned more to listen to what he was saying, and that made it easier for me to understand where his pain was coming from.
Resources are available for military families. Learn more at realwarriors.net.
Out of control spending. A government that no longer works for the people. Had enough? Then vote for Stone Anthony for president. Replace politicians with a citizen statesman. www.stoneanthony2016.com.
In a moment, cancer changed our lives forever.
We were told nothing could be done to enjoy these final moments together.
But in that moment, when all seemed lost,
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital gave us hope.
Because at this moment, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital is saving lives with pioneering research and care. We're changing the way the world treats childhood cancer by sharing our discoveries with doctors and scientists everywhere.
And we'll never have to pay St. Jude for anything, ever.
At this moment, she wants to be in her own bed.
I want to be back at school with my friends. I want to be outside playing.
Please take a moment and join St. Jude in finding cures and saving
Oh, that? It's my time machine.
Does it work?
Sure. Just hit this button.
Whoa, dinosaurs. Cool.
Or we can go here.
Hey, that's Napoleon.
Oui.
Or we can go to the future.
Wow, hey, you have this nice house. Do I have a nice house?
No, you didn't save any money. Always spent it on vacations and stuff.
If only there was a way I could go back in time and correct that bad habit.
Yep.
Okay, the time machine is not real, but the saving thing is. Get in the habit of putting some of your money in savings each week through a 401k, savings account, or financial investments. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy tips on saving, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
What does this crazy little button do?
Wait, no!
This message brought to you by the
America. Welcome home the brave. The brave men and women who serve their country are coming home. Home to their cities and towns. Home to their mountains and valleys. Home to their families and friends. Home to America. Some of these warriors are coming home with wounds you can see, and some with wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Wounded Warrior Project was created to provide the support these wounded veterans need to ensure their return to America is well-adjusted and successful. But we need your help to ensure that our mission is a success. Help us honor and empower these wounded warriors. Contact us at findwwp.org. America, welcome home the brave.
You're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. Tonight, we have a very special guest, Richard Muti. Right before we went off the break, we were talking about the legal system. Now, let's kind of switch up gears a little bit here. And, we can spend all night talking about the legal system and everything. But, I want to get into his book and everything about essays for my father. Richard, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure. I got to ask, and I apologize. This is like the number one faux pas. It's Muti, right? Muti?
Muti.
Muti. Okay, Muti. I just
rhymes with duty.
I just want to make sure. M-U-T-I. And the reason why I want to make sure that it's clear is because we have a lot of listeners who are probably Googling you right now. So I want to make sure that they get the right website.
If they are Googling, it's very easy to find my website, which has a lot of information about me and my books. www.richardmuti.com.
Sure.
And some of your listeners, Jeff, may recognize the name being the same as the famous maestro of the Chicago Symphony. His name is Riccardo Muti. He pronounces it the Italian way. I pronounce mine the Americanized version of that name. But we are distant cousins of some kind. I saw him perform a few years back at Carnegie Hall and went backstage to meet him, and I was mayor of Ramsey at the time. I handed him my card, and I said to him in Italian, my name is Richard Muti too. And he looked at me and saw the card, and we established that our families are from the same small town in Italy. So indeed, we probably are cousins of some kind.
Wow. And that's the thing, with this book, the most recent one that you just wrote, and you actually draw upon your heritage. Essays of for my father. You talk about your heritage, your family background, and the dynamic, and how that led you to where you're at today. Which I have to say, obviously you're very successful, and that's what appealed to me, is that you're just not, your heritage is such an integral part of your success and who you are as an individual, and in a nation of Facebook and social, with family members stretched all across the country and everything, it was really refreshing to see and to read how you still live in the same town you grew up in.
I do, and it's the same town my father grew up in. We've been here for more than 100 years, and it was such an honor to serve as mayor of my hometown. My father was also involved in local politics. I come from an immigrant background, as most Americans do, but all four of my grandparents emigrated here from Italy, and they were mostly dirt poor and illiterate, and from their foundation, they two of my grandparents, my paternal grandparents, had 9 children. My maternal grandparents had 8 children, and I probably have 30 or 40 cousins, and lots of success stories in there, and I like to think that mine is one of them. But I love my heritage, and I write about it extensively in the book.
No, it shows, and that's one of the things too, is that this is just not for our listeners. Essays for My Father is just not about vignettes that you've written for your blog and for different newspaper articles and stuff. This is actually intertwined with your family history. And you get an insight of where you're thinking because of your background and your family background and the work ethic. I think one of the articles, or one of the things you talk favorably of, I believe it was your grandfather, right, who was a construction worker, and
yes, and died just before the Great Depression came upon us. And my father was 15 when his father died, and became the head of the family, a family of 9 children, an illiterate mother, and through it all they survived. I brought the book out this year to honor my father, and titled it Essays for My Father. The subtitle is a legacy of passion, politics, and patriotism in small-town America. But I brought it out this year special because this was the 100th anniversary of my father's birth, so I wanted to honor him in that way. He died about 13 years ago, and didn't live to see me become mayor of the town. Died just 2 years before I was elected, but I think this is a fitting tribute to him.
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt. It's just, and like I said, there's very little book. As many books as I have to read to do and stuff. Yours was one of the ones. Most books I read to get through them, so we can, get the knowledge and then pass that on. Your book actually sat, by the nightstand. It was several, because I just wanted to, to understand and you do, and I got that, by reading your stories and seeing your heritage and your family dynamics, and then seeing the articles you written. You could actually see or get a sense of the direction and how much your family and your city, for that matter, Ramsey, influenced you and everything. So, let's switch a little bit of gears, though. Obviously, for those that don't know, Ramsey is in New Jersey. You just got your governor reelected, and I know, some articles you're a little critical, some articles you're not. Governor Christie.
Yeah, I voted for Governor Christie. I think on average, he did a great job as governor. Some things I don't like him. He has a little bit too much Jersey boy attitude to suit me. I'm a tiger in the courtroom, but outside of the courtroom, I like a little bit more civility and really, it's not my style, not when I was mayor and not as a private citizen, to disparage anyone who engages in a conversation with his or her elected official. And some of that Christie mystique and style rubs me the wrong way. But he actually did some good things in New Jersey. He took control of runaway costs from overly generous benefits for public employee unions. New Jersey is in very poor financial shape, probably one of the worst 5 states in the union as far as their obligations for unfunded pension and medical benefits for public employee retirees. And Christie pushed through a law that really reformed the pension and benefits system in New Jersey, and will pay huge dividends. I think probably this law that he pushed in will end up saving $1 billion a year in property taxes because of the requirement that employees contribute something toward their benefits, something that they were not doing in the past. So he's done some great things, and as far as whether I will support him when he runs for president, I think it's clear that he will run for president. He's been positioning himself for that. I don't know. I just have to wait and see. The persona that he projects is kind of interesting, and you know, the pugnacious attitude that he takes, the in-your-face argument with any critic. I'm not sure that's the type of person I want sitting across the table from another world leader. That type of attitude, that type of style. But I'll wait and see, and I'll see how he develops in the future before I make any final decision on that.
Well, I mean, you gave in your in the teachable moment,
Yes.
teachable moment. You actually kind of show, because that's the impression that I get. When you watch Governor Christie, that he's in your face, the Jersey Shore kind of style. And I agree with you. It's kind of like, is he going to fist bump, with a world leader or do something of that nature? And it does make you nervous. But, you start out that one of the first things he did when he took the oath of office was that he made the parties literally or physically hold hands, and kind of have this kumbaya moment.
Didn't last long.
Didn't last long, exactly. I think it was more of a photo op. But, and you're right. I think he is somewhat positioning himself. I'm a little concerned. I don't know what party he's going to run with. I mean.
Well, actually, there's been a lot of discussion about how he is a little bit too moderate for the Tea Party or the right of the Republican Party, the extreme right of the Republican Party, but I think by the time we get around to 2016, the entire Republican Party is going to want a winner.
Yes.
And they're going to want to go with someone who has a chance to draw Democratic votes. Christie in this election last night got 30% of the Democratic vote, running as a Republican. He got more than half of the women's vote, even though he is pro-life and against abortion rights. So he has an appeal across the entire spectrum, and I think by the time 2015, I guess they have to start maneuvering and getting ready a year or two early. But I think the far right of the Republican Party is going to forgive his cozying up to Obama during Hurricane Superstorm Sandy. And we'll say, we'll just hold our breath and vote for somebody who's going to win.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but I don't think that the Democratic Party is going to forget that, though. I'm sure the campaigns through the PACs and stuff are going to be coming out trying to remind the GOP, that he was kind of cozying up to. Well, no, he was kind of. He was. I mean, that's
Yeah, he was. Say, but by the same token, he's the governor of a state that's just been hit by a disaster, a natural disaster, and the federal government is Uncle Sam and Uncle Moneybags. So you want to get as much aid as you can, and actually I think the posture that Christie took during that whole aftermath of the storm, I think it appeals to independents who so most people in this country claim to be independents, and I think they're looking for someone who can bridge the gap. Now, that won't necessarily get them the Republican nomination. You're absolutely right about that. We just have to see how much the Republican right wants to win this time. We'll see.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that they need to put up a candidate that's actually going to has a chance to win. And I frankly think that no one in their right mind, anybody, I hate to say this, but anybody who is intelligent, a business person, I don't think they want to run for office. I mean, they're going to inherit a huge mess. I mean, obviously, with everything that's going on. So, why would you want to have that aggravation? This is the time to retire and kind of enjoy life a little bit. I think that's the smart ones, because I haven't seen any of them come out of the woodworks yet of late. So, switch gears again. I know that you're on the board of your school board. So you went from being a mayor to now you're sitting on the school board.
Yeah, that's kind of an unusual path. I actually lost my bid for re-election. I was elected as a Democrat, and Ramsey is a heavily Republican town, and I won in a landslide against a 4-term incumbent Republican. But after a year in office, I broke with the Democratic Party at the county level. I just didn't like the way things were being run. I thought there was a hint of corruption in what was going on. And so I became an independent. And when I ran for re-election, the Democratic Party boss put up a straw man candidate to siphon votes away from me, and I actually lost by just less than 200 votes out of 5,000 cast in a 3-way race. So I was out of office, but still public-minded and still living here in my hometown. And when I saw that the Ramsey Board of Education gave away the store when they negotiated a contract with our teachers union and got no concessions, no money-saving concessions in return, I was just outraged, and I decided I had to get involved in that. And so I ran for school board. We have 9 members of our school board, and I ran for school board and won in a landslide there, and I've been on the board now for 5 years, and I think I've accomplished, with the help of fellow board members, of course, because you can't do it all on your own, but I think I've turned things around, and now we're in a much more modest posture as far as dealing with our employees. We treat them fairly, but I think we recognize the economic realities of today and know that we can't give them the raises and the benefits that they got in the past.
And that was one of the, was that a blog that you wrote about that, basically saying, or was it in the newspaper where you just said, look,
it was in the paper, but those were paid political statements when I was running for school board. So, I wrote them in sort of essay form, and, and those are part of the book too. That section of the book is called a grassroots victory. It just sort of gives a blueprint of how you can change things in your community.
Yeah, and I like the way that you approached it, because you can't come in there, and be heavy-handed and say, look, you got to, kind of like what we talk about the Scott Walker up here in Wisconsin, and we know what happened there. I mean, I do like your approach in the sense that you came in and said, look, we appreciate our teachers, we appreciate everything you do, but the reality is that we can't continue down this path. We're lying to you. We're lying to our citizens. We're lying to, we just can't do this. And I like the approach that you took versus the heavy-handed. Now, the results it sounds like the results that you got and the results that our governor here in the state of Wisconsin got were pretty much the same,
Yeah, we've done very well since I've been in office. The things have turned around. We've negotiated a new contract with, soon after I got in office, we got a new contract that we negotiated with a very low increase and some give-backs on health benefits and stuff. And for the past 2 years on the school board, our public schools in New Jersey are funded largely through local property taxes. I'm not sure what it's like in Wisconsin, but in New Jersey, our property taxes are among the highest in the nation. Well, for the last 2 years, we've had the lowest school tax increase in the history of our town. So we've been turning things around here in Ramsey, and you have to. There's no choice. There's no choice left.
Yeah, I hate to brag, but we actually have you beat. Not only did they, we are funded through property tax here in the state of Wisconsin, but Governor Walker actually just announced he gave the citizens of Wisconsin 2 tax cuts. Number one, he took a tax cut off of the income tax. Our income tax is roughly 3%. Well, they reduced that, and they said, look, at the end of the year, we're not going to give it in payroll, but at the end of the year, we're going to give you that check back. We're going to give you one big check, where you guys can use it during the holiday or, during January. That's the first thing.
Nice.
Yeah,
I like that.
It was incredible. Well, the party wanted them to do it in a pay. Said, well, why don't you, if you're going to reduce payroll taxes by 2.8%, just do it in a pay. And he's like, no, because people don't realize it. People just don't realize it. So we're going to give it back to them in one lump sum. But then last week, he actually cut the property tax statewide, and I think it's saving property owners about $300 a year. Now, a lot of the local communities were up in arms about that. They were saying, well, that's money that could be put into the educational system. And he was like, look, by what we did, we saved the taxpayers of Wisconsin over $100 million a year by allowing the union, or by telling the union that they can no longer hold the state hostage to pay the union healthcare provided benefits. They can go out to the other markets. And he said, I'm going to give that back to the taxpayer. So, yeah, he not only cut our income tax, but also gave back, they said about $300 a year in property tax, which that's a substantial amount when you're looking at property tax.
It is, absolutely. And I talk about Governor Walker in one of the essays in the book, and I think he's going to be a contender in 2016. I think he's building up quite a nice track record there in Wisconsin.
Well, the thing is with him is that he spends a lot of time. I know this week he's in California. So, and then I was talking to a friend of mine who's down in Florida. He was talking at a conference down in Florida as well. So he's getting, not only is he Wisconsin, but he is getting out there all over the United States. And I will tell you, Wisconsin, our economy, we had so many manufacturing, areas in the Midwest have been just decimated. I mean, I literally live a couple blocks from the old Chrysler plant here, which is now a 4-city block or 5-city block concrete pad that was destroyed just this summer. And, but he's bringing business back. I know Amazon's moving here. We're taking a lot of business out of Illinois. They're moving right across the border as well. So he, obviously he's doing something right. Like I said, sometimes it's tactics, but hey, I'm not there. It's just, I saw your approach and I saw his approach, and I do like your approach a little bit better. I think he would have, I think he wouldn't have had such a wedge. But I also think he's smart enough to realize that when you put jobs back into Wisconsin, and we had no teachers got laid off in the state of Wisconsin. All the horror stories that they were predicting, that none of those came true. Schools are still operating, no layoffs. So he was able to save jobs in there as well. But some people just can't overcome that. But
yes.
Well. I told you we're bumping up close to the hour. Can you go one more segment, or are you?
Sure, I'll go another segment.
Okay.
It's been very enjoyable, and time flew.
It does. I warned you of that. That's usually what happens when we do this. So what we'll do is we're going to take a break here, and then when we come back, we'll kind of wrap up the conversation. Got a couple other vignettes that we want to kind of talk about, and get some of Richard. Richard's thoughts on them and some of the things that are going on in the political climate of today. You're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You can join us every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Central Time till 12 a.m. On the web, www.themidnightpatriot.com. Now, for those that are listening to Blog Talk Radio, we actually increased our loud time. So now it is a full 3-hour show. So you will no longer be getting cut off in the second hour. We negotiated a contract with Blog Talk Radio, and now we will go into the third hour. So join us on the web at www.TheMidnightPatriot.com.
In a moment, cancer changed our lives forever.
We were told nothing could be done to enjoy these final moments together.
But in that moment, when all seemed lost,
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital gave us hope.
Because at this moment, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital is saving lives with pioneering research and care. We're changing the way the world treats childhood cancer by sharing our discoveries with doctors and scientists everywhere.
And we'll never have to pay St. Jude for anything, ever.
At this moment, she wants to be in her own bed.
I want to be back at school with my friends. I want to be outside playing.
Please take a moment and join St. Jude in finding cures and saving children.
America, welcome home the brave. The brave men and women who serve their country are coming home. Home to their cities and towns. Home to their mountains and valleys. Home to their families and friends. Home to America. Some of these warriors are coming home with wounds you can see, and some with wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Wounded Warrior Project was created to provide the support these wounded veterans need to ensure their return to America is well-adjusted and successful. But we need your help to ensure that our mission is a success. Help us honor and empower these wounded warriors. Contact us at findwwp.org. America, welcome home the brave.
What is that?
Oh, that? It's my time machine.
Does it work?
Sure, just hit this button.
Whoa, dinosaurs. Cool.
Or we can go here.
Hey, that's Napoleon.
Oui.
Or we can go to the future.
Wow, hey, you have this nice house. Do I have a nice house?
No, you didn't save any money. Always spent it on vacations and stuff.
If only there was a way I could go back in time and correct that bad habit.
Yep.
Okay, the time machine is not real, but the saving thing is. Get in the habit of putting some of your money in savings each week through a 401k, savings account, or financial investments. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy tips on saving, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
What does this crazy little button do?
Wait, no!
After Daniel Pearl was kidnapped and murdered in Pakistan, his family and friends came together to work towards a more humane world.
On Daniel Pearl Music Day, thousands of people around the world will unite to promote harmony for humanity.
Join us in using the universal language of music
to diminish hatred,
respect differences,
and reach out in friendship.
Participate in Daniel Pearl Music Day, promoting harmony.
Out of control spending. A government that no longer works for the people. Had enough? Then vote for Stone Anthony for president. Replace politicians with a citizen statesman. www.stoneanthony2016.com. You're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You can join us on the web at www.TheMidnightPatriot.com. But right now we're talking to have an excellent conversation with author, former mayor, former Navy pilot, current school board. I mean, the accolades go on and on and on. And one of the things, I'm just going to say, after reading Richard's books, Essays for My Father, Richard Muti. I have to say, typically we do get a lot of politicians on the show when we talk to them and stuff. I will have to say that Richard, and reading and talking with him, he's not a politician. He's a statesman. And we talk about that all the time on the show. We need statesmen. We need people that are willing to compromise and do things for the American people. And if you read his book, Essays for My Father, you'll see that. you'll see that he doesn't have a party line agenda or whatever. You know, he's doing what is best for the people that he serves, and everything. So Richard, I appreciate. Thanks for staying for the second hour.
My pleasure.
I'll let you know this one here's a little bit longer. The second hour tends to run. You know, we have more time to talk and everything. But I really mean that when I say that. You know, after talking with you on multiple occasions and stuff, I get a sense you are not a politician, my friend. You are a statesman. You are the Thomas Jefferson style statesman, and I wish you.
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that.
I wish if I could push you. I wish we could get you out of the school board. I know you're serving your community, but we need more people like you running for higher offices. I mean, in this country.
Well, I thank you for that. I wish I were young enough to indulge that thought because I would like to run for higher office too. But I'm 73 now, and a young 73, I like to think, and I feel I'm in perfect health. But I think the higher office playing field for politics is for younger men and women, I'm afraid.
Sure.
And I just don't think I'd fit in these days. But I do intend to keep active here in my hometown, and I don't know that I'll run for statewide office or anything like that. I think that's beyond me. I did run for state senator about 10 years ago as a Democrat in a heavily Republican district and got soundly defeated. So the voters in this 39th legislative district of New Jersey didn't view me as a statesman. I don't think they viewed me as a politician of the opposite party.
And that's the problem with our current political climate. And it's been like that for a while. Is that you know, you're either a GOP or you're either one or the other.
One of the things that irks me the most, I watch all of the Sunday news shows and the talk shows, and I'm just getting sick of these politicians coming on and reciting the same talking points over and over again. It's just sickening listening to it. You never get a spontaneous or thoughtful answer to a question. You get what the talking points are for that particular crisis or that particular problem. Exactly.
I mean, you hear it once, you hear it, and you know what's really upsetting is I watch C-SPAN daily, and you're sitting there in front of the Senate, like today, you know, you had Seabrist and you know, sitting in front of the Senate, and they're spewing the talking points. They're not answering, and I just don't understand that, you know, how they can get, you know, because I understand, you know, the judicial branches and, you know, the way our government's set up and stuff, but when you're sitting in front of the Senate, to me, I've always been taught that is kind of like sitting in front of judge and jury at the same time, and you know, they're telling things that are just, you're just like, really? You really want us to believe this? You know,
sure.
And
I mean, and one thing that the viewing audience doesn't see, of course, is that the senator or the representative is talking mostly to an empty chamber.
Yes.
They don't pan the chamber with the camera. They just keep it on the speaker, and he's mostly speaking to empty seats.
Yeah. Well, yeah. C-SPAN. You know, I was watching last night the C-SPAN, not a Seabrist, but of the CMS director, and one of the things that I noticed really quick is that there was only a few senators that actually were there the whole time. Al Franken was from Minnesota, was there, and then of course you had the chairman, he was there, but on multiple occasions he actually forgot to keep time or he was distracted. So you're kind of like, what the heck? But the thing is that the senators were coming and going. You know, they would sit down, they would ask their 5-minute questions or 3-minute questions, and then they would leave. You know, they actually didn't sit and listen to the whole testimony. They got their 5 minutes of airtime, you know, and then they left. It's just, you know, it's deplorable. It's deplorable. You know, yeah. I mean, the classic one. This is what was the funny. Remember the grilling that the NSA director was getting about, you know, I can't remember the Senate Judiciary that was sitting there, and he was like, is the American people being spied on? This is back in midsummer.
A few months ago, yeah.
A few months ago, and the director was like, he just looked dumb. He's got got the deer in the headlight look, and he's looking at him like,
didn't know what to say. He
but
actually gave a misleading answer that he had to correct later on when more facts came out. Yeah.
But it was funny though, and I think this is more to it. You find out that it was a car. I cannot remember now. I got to pull it up because it's going to bug me all night. But the thing is that Senate, it was later released 3 weeks later, in the documents shoved, like on Friday, that that same senator sits on the NSA Security Council, and that he was given the information years ago. ISA, that's it, ISA.
Yeah.
ISA. Yeah. He was given the information years ago when they were doing it, and so the director of the NSA, I actually think the deer in the headlight look he's like, I don't know how to answer this because that I know that that we've been doing it all along.
You can't say it in public.
Yeah, but I can't say it in public because of course then I get the dark guy, the guys in dark suits knocking on my door. And I lose my clear. But yeah, and I think that's what it was. It was misleading because everybody shows that video of him doing it, and they're like, he lied to Congress, and it's like, well, actually, they already knew, because these guys were all briefed on it, months in advance. I mean, I have a document, and I actually have the video. If you go to not NPR, if you go to Democracy Now, and yes, I listen to Democracy Now, and back in 2009. There was a gentleman on there who was a whistleblower of the NSA, and he flat out said he designed the system. If you watch the show, he goes, yeah, we have a system, and then they took it over. We built it for $3 million, and he said then Lockheed Martin came in, and they went to $300 million, and and that's so it's no news. And you're right, it's just sad when you watch those hearings and everything and watch. So I mean that's a great segue. What do you think about Obamacare? Obamacare, I should say, not Obama.
I tell you, I need to give full disclosure that I voted for Obama twice, and I've always been a supporter of him. And the thing that has kept me a supporter of his probably longer than I should be a supporter is the nastiness of the opposition, the unwillingness to work out problems and the complete obstructionism. The congressman that you mentioned, Issa, who's head of the House Oversight Committee, just painful to watch the opposition operate, and so I've probably been lenient in judging Obama's performance, but lately, I tell you, I'm getting fed up with his performance. The Syria debacle with the chemical weapons, the way that was handled, it seems like it's working out okay, but that's not thanks to Obama's handling of the situation. I happen to think that there's a great deal of dereliction of duty with regard to the Benghazi consulate attack by terrorists. I think it was mishandled. I think we're being deceived. And I just think that the Obamacare rollout is just symptomatic of amateur hour in the White House, I'm afraid. I just think we need to start really thinking about electing presidents with some background to them, some resume behind them, rather than a couple of years in the Senate. We really need to get some leadership with experience that knows how to deal with things. I mean, the way that this rollout was handled, the rollout of the website, I'm just very skeptical now about whether this is going to succeed, because its success evidently depends on enrolling 5 to 7 million young people with relatively healthy futures ahead of them for a few years to help pay for the other aspects of Obamacare, and it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen. I'll hope that it does. I'm not rooting against him, but I hope that it does, but it doesn't seem likely.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at, and you talk about the vitriol that comes across from the right side of the aisle and stuff. One of the things that upset me so much about the shutdown and the arguments that they were making is their arguments it upset me in a sense that I would have been there. My argument would have been this: Mr. President, you got to use the same law that you pass and put on your citizens. We ask, there shouldn't be no exemptions. Mr. President, you shouldn't be giving exemptions to your unions and all that. If this is the law of the land, and this is, we voted on this here in this Congress, and you enacted it, you can at the 11th hour start rewriting the law. That would have been my argument, and that would have been, and it would have come across more of a valid argument instead of we're just not going to do it because Obama said so. And like you said, the vitriol, and that's what upset me, because we had the opportunity as a, they had the opportunity, because I'm not a fan of Obamacare for multiple reasons. I mean, we're finding out today that there are some sites now that after you enroll for Obamacare, it takes you to to get you registered to vote.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
That's somewhat of a conflict, wouldn't you think?
Absolutely. So I mean, and then you talk about the security, and then you talk about there's 72,000 words in the Obamacare, but the regulation, like everything else, there's 11.5 million words in the regulations, and there is no one in the country, you being a prosecutor, you being an attorney, you couldn't tell me what the law is and what it isn't based upon 11.5 million regs. I mean, it's just
it's impossible for people to get a handle on that. Nancy Pelosi famously said when they put Obamacare up for vote, we'll find out what's in it after the bill that they were voting on. We'll find out what's in it after it's passed and becomes law.
Yeah, yeah. So
not a way to run the government.
But that's the way they do it. I mean, and that's what, and I think that's where America, and it's, like I said, is that I kind of came from your position in life, being somewhat of a moderate, and now I'm swinging all the way over, because what I'm seeing, Benghazi. I mean, I'm at the position where I'm at in life, not because, it's from what I've seen going on in this country. You hit on it with Benghazi. We find out that Stevens was there. He was broken an arms deal. And I was in high school when the Iran-Contra was going on, but I still remember that. And, and this stinks of Iran-Contra, when he was brokering the deal between the Libyans through Turkey down to Syria. And then on top of that, you find out that the weapons are going to Al-Qaeda. Now, Al-Qaeda, is it not the same Al-Qaeda that we're fighting in Iraq?
These are all pocket subsidiaries of the overall organization. It's a very loose organization with local, loosely affiliated subsidiaries that believe in the same terrorist agenda, but it's not one big organization, but they're all tied together by ideology.
Sure. And that's the thing that also concerned me too. I started to dig deeper into Obama's past and everything. We talk about his birth. We're not going to go there, but we stay with things that we can prove. And one of the things that was very concerning was his adaptation and indoctrination to Sal Alinsky's mode of community organizing. When I read Rules for Radicals, and I realized that this is, I was like, holy smokes, this is scary. This is scary, and that's what's kind of thrown me over the edge. With this president is seeing that that's a doctrine that he believes in, so
I'm not sure I go there with you. I quite frankly, I haven't really explored that community organizer background stuff very much. Perhaps I should have, but I kind of think this president wants to be a centrist, if not strictly down the center, maybe center left a little bit, but he's gotten no cooperation. I think if Republicans had reached out to him, we could have been in a better place with maybe a more reasonable healthcare solution to the problem. I don't know, but it's frustrating that there hasn't been any statesman-like conduct on the Republican side that I can see.
Well, on either side, I think, and that I think Congress. The numbers in Congress show that. I think on either side of the fence, I don't think there's been any statesman on.
I think you're right. Yeah.
And I think that's why America is now turning away. I mean, I was reading a columnist the other day who was saying what we need to do is just not, no matter who's running for office, whatever party they're in, don't elect them. Whoever, just elect the other person. And maybe...
that's one of the first things that my father taught me about politics, local politics, and he said the best philosophy is them that's in, out. Them that's out, in.
Yeah.
And that's the way to decide on whom to vote for.
Yeah, and I'm leaning towards that way. I mean, I have my favorite politicians. There's still a few in office that I still kind of watch, but I'm even getting disappointed in them when I'm finding out certain things about their what they do. It's just I don't know. But I just want to let you know it's okay to disagree.
I feel no hesitance to disagree, but for the most part I think we're on the same page.
Yep.
But I do think Obama got a raw deal from the time he came in. This whole birther movement is I think an outrage. And the folks that were talking about Obama having been born in Kenya and this conspiracy to make him eligible to become a president of the United States. Well, the darling of that far-right group now, Ted Cruz, was born in Canada.
Well,
but his mother was American, just as Obama's mother was American. So,
yep.
It just seems to me that it was something that was born because Obama was of a different race. I think there was a racial component to it.
I'll give you a little bit of that, but like I said, I hear what people are saying, and then I do my own research. The thing that, it's kind of like 9/11. You got all these people that are saying the inside job. The Pentagon, why, if they want to dispel 9/11 and say, why don't they show the videotape? They got it, apparently. Why don't they show the videotape of the airplane? They don't have to show it hitting the building. Just show the videotape of the airplane, and that would disquel it. The thing with Obama, I guess what concerns me about Obama is I have listened to the BBC interview where his mother or his grandmother said, he's a son of this village, and that is a kind of like Hebrew, the way that's translated is basically he was born here. I've seen those videos and I've seen the translations, and then the part that really gets me about Obama, and he released his birth certificate, the PDF file. It was what was on whitehouse.gov, and they took you as a prosecuting attorney, you could have ripped it apart with the forensics. They had computer guys that went in there and said, well, wait a minute, this is doctored, because there's metadata whenever you change a PDF because of forgery laws and stuff. But the forensics guys came in and said, well, wait a minute, there's discrepancies here. Can someone please explain this to us? And that, I guess for me, that's what I kind of go, there's no answer to that. I'm not hearing an answer from Obama's camp on those two items, except,
I think it's, I just think it's not even worth discussing.
I got you.
I don't hold any credence whatsoever to that line of thinking.
All right. No,
sorry.
No, that's fine. It's okay to disagree here. It's all about conversation. I mean, that's, that's what we have here at the Midnight Patriot. It's not my way or the highway. I'm not a Rush Limbaugh.
I know. I appreciate that. I didn't get the buzzer and get thrown off. So
yeah, no. It's all about because I'm just fascinated to do the research myself. To be honest with you, that's what intrigues me is the to do the research and to try to find the truth and everything. And you're not, look, if you, and you know this, if you believe you know everything, you're not. My grandmother once said, there's always someone bigger than you. And, that's why I throw things out there to get at people's opinions and then kind of guide me. So, well, we blew through another segment here, my friend.
Well, thank you very much.
Oh, no, thank you. Thank you very much. And like I said, Essays for My Father, I highly recommend to all the listeners out there. Go out there. You can get it through our site. It's a pass-through. It goes right to Amazon. We'll have direct links. And also, you have some other books out there.
I do, Jeff.
Yeah.
I've got a terrific true crime book that won that was an award finalist in the Best Book competition last year, the USA Book News Best Book competition. It was an award finalist in the true crime category. It's about a New Jersey serial rapist and killer. Very interesting case. That book's titled The Charmer, and there's information about it on Amazon and also on my website.
We'll link to all your books.
Great.
Now, are you currently blogging as well, or are you just kind of...
I'm in promotional mode for this new book. I've got really a 30 stop book tour that I'm right in the middle of right now. I've got book tours. I'll be going down to Point Pleasant, New Jersey for a talk next week, and then the following week down to South Carolina, up to Massachusetts. So I've got a lot of stops on my book tour, and that should wind down next spring, and then I'll start on a new book. I've got a couple of things I'm kicking around.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, thank you once again for taking time out of your night. I know you're very busy, and we appreciate it and everything. So
great. Good
all right,
luck
Rick.
with the show, Jeff.
Thank you, sir. Have a great evening. I'll be talking to you, my friend. Thank you. So you've been listening to Richard Muti and I kind of kick around, talk about his book, Essays for My Father. And, that's what it's all about here at the Midnight Patriot. I'm not naive to think that everybody believes the same way I do, and the same way that you do, my fellow patriots and stuff. But, you have to open yourselves up to different viewpoints, different opinions. And, like I said, you want to read an excellent book by an American, Essays for My Father by Richard Muti. When we get back, we're going to actually have the news. We'll open up the phone lines for your calls. And you're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast.
16-year veteran of the Army National Guard. Whether on the playing field or the battlefield, you must be both physically and mentally fit.
If you're injured, you owe it to yourself and your teammates to get back to peak performance. It doesn't matter if you've got a broken bone, depression, a traumatic brain injury, PTSD, or another psychological wound.
Getting help shows strength, not weakness.
To find out more, go to realwarriors.net.
After Daniel Pearl was kidnapped and murdered in Pakistan, his family and friends came together to work towards a more humane world.
A foundation was formed in Daniel's name to promote cross-cultural understanding through journalism, music, and innovative communications.
On Daniel Pearl Music Day, thousands of people around the world will unite to promote harmony for humanity,
carrying on his mission of connecting people through words and music.
Join us in using the universal language of music to diminish hatred,
respect differences,
and reach out in friendship.
We invite you to perform, support, or attend a Daniel Pearl Music Day event in October.
Participate in Daniel Pearl Music Day, promoting
out of control spending, a government that no longer works for the people. Had enough? Then vote for Stone Anthony for president. Replace politicians with a citizen statesman. www.stoneanthony2016.com.
America, welcome home the brave. The brave men and women who serve their country are coming home. Home to their cities and towns. Home to their mountains and valleys. Home to their families and friends. Home to America. Some of these warriors are coming home with wounds you can see, and some with wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Wounded Warrior Project was created to provide the support these wounded veterans need to ensure their return to America is well adjusted and successful. But we need your help to ensure that our mission is a success. Help us honor and empower these wounded warriors. Contact us at findwwp.org. America, welcome home the brave.
What is that?
Oh, it's my time machine.
Does it work?
Sure, just hit this button.
Whoa, dinosaurs. Cool.
Or we can go here.
Hey, that's Napoleon.
Oui.
Or we can go to the future.
Wow, hey, you have this nice house. Do I have a nice house?
No, you didn't save any money. Always spent it on vacations and stuff.
If only there was a way I could go back in time and correct that bad habit.
Yep.
Okay, the time machine is not real, but the saving thing is. Get in the habit of putting some of your money in savings each week through a 401k, savings account, or financial investments. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy tips on saving, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
What does this crazy little button do?
Wait, no!
This message brought to you by the American Institute.
You're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. I am your host, Jeff Norton. You can join us every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. And, man, what a night. What a night. You know, we just concluded our conversation with author Richard Muti. And, you know, great conversations. And that's what it's all about here at the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. You know, it's about conversations. Now, you're not going to get someone who believes or who thinks the same way you do every time. But the thing is you don't see that? We got through the conversation. We had an excellent conversation. And, you know, if you'd like to join in the conversation, you can give us a call at 347-205-9899. That's 347-205-9899 is the best way to reach us currently. Now, we do have a 1-800 number, but I'm finding out, like Obamacare, finding out that it might not be routing to us. Don't know. You know, we just opened up the phone lines. So if anybody wants to call in that number, let us know. It's 800-580-4870. That's 1-800-580-4870. Let us know if it works. There will be a little message there at the beginning kind of telling you how you should behave. Yeah, I know. Sometimes it's hard to behave, but you know, we do have to make sure that we have a clean show here. Press 1 to go on to that, then you should be clicked into the call queue. Now, you can also reach us, you know, 24/7 through our website. And thank you for those that called us or that emailed me over the day and told us about the show and things they liked and things they wanted to see change. I appreciate it. I read every one of them. I did send out emails, so I do appreciate that kind of feedback. The other thing, too, it's amazing. You know, we talk about the community, the Patriot community and our listeners. Now, when we were going through our changeover today, we went from a 2-hour to a 3-hour show on Blog Talk Radio. And Blog Talk Radio is the one that was sending out all of those updates, those invite lists that you guys get every day. Well, when we did that, we had to delete those off of the system and then reschedule the shows for a 3-hour show. It was amazing, and it made me feel good. It really did. Thank you, my fellow patriots, my brothers and sisters, because I got so many emails from people. Is everything okay? Are you guys okay? What happened to the show? You know, and it wasn't like what happened to the show. It was like, are you okay? And I just want to let you know, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for those that sent emails. We're perfectly fine here at the Midnight Patriot. We're okay. A little unhinged at certain times, but we're okay here. And everything. But I just want to say thank you. Thank you for supporting us and what we do here. Now, you know, on the lines of support, the best way you can support what we're doing, for all of our listeners that are listening to this show right now, go out to Spreaker, go out to iTunes, go out to SoundCloud when we post these on SoundCloud, Spreaker, iTunes, Blog Talk Radio. Go out there and make sure that you like us, heart us, as I say, heart, it's heart. You know, push those buttons. It takes a few seconds. What that does is it lets the network know, the different various networks, that you know, we're a show and we're here. And that will help us, and that will help us bring more listeners into the show and you know, get more listeners. Right now we have about, you know, 2,500 listeners, 2,200, thereabouts. You know, our goal this month is to get to 5,000. Our goal by the end of the year to next year is to be at 10,000. We know that we are affecting change when we hit 14,000 listeners. 14 to 15,000. We know that we are getting out there. Our message is getting out there. So if you want to help support us, you know, obviously listen to the show. You know, call in. You know, we're working hard to get you numbers that you guys can call in and communicate with us on. Call into the show. You know, you can we even give you numbers that if you want, you can actually Skype in to the show as well. But the reason why, you know, we need your help in that regard is that will let the networks know that we're here. And that will keep us, I mean, we're not going anywhere. You know, we're not going anywhere. You know, we're here to stay. Now the question is do we affect change in a relatively couple months, or do we affect change in 3 to 5 years? Even Rush Limbaugh, when he started at you know, Rush and those guys, you know, they'll tell you when they started, you know, they started at an established radio show that already had listeners, but it took them a while to get to where he's at today. So I understand that. But the way that we can speed that process up is that, you know, it's word of mouth. People are more likely to listen to their friends recommend us than they are for me doing advertising. And that money that we do for advertising to get our name out there, I can use that to buy more equipment, to, you know, turn on more servers and such. So I just ask, the best way to support us, you know, go out to Spreaker, go out to SoundCloud, go out to Stitcher, go out to iTunes, go out to those sites and just push those buttons that say like, you know, like buttons. And also share our show. Share our show with your friends on Facebook. You know, that's how you can support our efforts here at the Midnight Patriot. Now, the other way that you can support our efforts, obviously, if you are a small business owner or know of a small business owner that sells products and services that you think would be a fit, let them know about us. We have the cheapest rate. We're 2,300, 2,200 listeners across all the platforms. And these are solid listeners. These are individuals that listen to our show from start to finish. They download them, and so we see those. We get those statistics. So we know what's being done. And you know, it's not, you know, page hits or, you know, page views and all that stuff. We know who downloads our shows. Not NSA knows, but we know that the shows were downloaded. We know the shows were listened to. You know, so you got a captive market. That's an industry term. Captive market. People that listen to talk radio tend to listen to it for the full show, where people that listen to normal radio and an hour-long radio show, they only listen for 15 minutes. Those are numbers that, that have been around for a while. So if you have a product or service that you want to sell to 2,200 or get out to 2,200 Patriots a day, over 60,000 a month, you can do that right here. And our fee, $6 a month. $6 a month. Now, one of the things is that if you want a professional sound, advertisement, we're going to have a link to a company that does that, and they can produce those for you. Now, I'll be glad to do them and everything, but I mean, these guys are incredible. They're going to be redoing our promotional package here in the next couple of days. But for I think it's about $20, they can do your advertisement for $20, and you own it forever. So not only can you put it on our show, but you can put it on other shows. So you have that opportunity as well. But for $6 a month, you businesses that send me the like pages and stuff that advertise on Facebook, you spend that in a day. So, you have that opportunity. The other advertisement opportunity I'll let you know for $30 a month. $30 a month. You can actually sponsor our 800 line. So everybody that calls into the show will hear your advertisement. They will also hear your advertisement, obviously, on the show as well. We'll give you that link as well. But, so there's a huge opportunity here for you to help us affect change and to get our message out there. With all that being said, though, the best way you can help us, the free way that you can help us, is just get the word out. Get the word out. Let your friends, family, fellow patriots know about us here at the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. So, wow, what a conversation. That was incredible. We have just an incredible list of guests, and we are adding more and more every day. Every day. We had Joe the plumber, Richard, of course, who was on tonight, Prepper Recon, Major Pandemic, be joining us, Stone Anthony, Rodney, Conover. I mean, we're the list, and we've only been doing this 4 weeks now, and the list grows and grows. Tomorrow, we're going to have a guest on talking about, I'm a animal person. I love animals. And we're going to be talking about how this economic situation and what's going on is affecting our animals and the abandonmentship of animals at shelters and what you can do to help, So, we'll be talking about that tomorrow. I mean, it's just incredible, the caliber of guests that we have here on the show. But like I've always said, this show is for you, our listeners. So if you want to, join in the conversation, feel free to give us a call at 347-205-9899, 347-205-9899, or give us a call at 1-800-580-4870. Call us, let us know if that 800 numbers, if that's being routed correctly. If not, call us on the 347-205-9899 number and let us know. I know we have listeners out there. I see you. I see you listening to the show. So give us a call. Obviously, you can Skype us as well at themidnightpatriot.com. So with that, Richard talked a little bit, and this actually is a great segue, when he was running for office, how the opposing party put up a shell candidate against him. You know, that's actually becoming more and more standard practice. You know, one of the things, I know we lost Virginia. McAuliffe got Virginia. But you know the good news about that is that he barely got it. It wasn't a runaway. It wasn't a, you know, he was going to, you know, take it. It was a fight. It was a fight. And that was with the Democratic Party putting up a shell libertarian to suck votes away from the Tea Party GOP candidate. I don't know if you guys knew that, but they literally, there are ties, literally, and I don't know how this could not be considered voter fraud, but there are clear ties between the libertarian candidate and certain PACs associated with the Democratic National Party. I just, you know, so you got to look at that. But one of the things is that you have to be happy. I know it's hard when we lost, but you need to be happy in the fact that it was a close battle. You know. So, you know, let me kind of break it down for you here, so you kind of understand something that you can hold your head up high. You should hold your head up high anyways, because you're a patriot. Don't ever put your head down. Walk out, you know. You're walking. It drives me nuts when I see people walking wherever it is, and they got their head down and they're looking at the ground. Hold your head up. Walk proudly. Be an American. I know it's hard. I really do. I catch myself doing it as well. But hold your head up. Have solace in the fact that you are a patriot. You are an American. You still live in the greatest country on this earth, even though we're still under attack. Take satisfaction in knowing that the diabolical, evil people who are trying to transform this country are still having a hard time. It's not easy for them. And they're scared to death of us Americans, fellow Americans. So have solace in knowing that. But when you're walking, walk tall. Hold your head up. Look people in the eye. Acknowledge how you doing. Good day. I actually, on that note, and this is for the men that are listening to our show, I saw a great banner, and I might get it wrong. I probably should have kept it. But it goes something along this. You're a male by birth. You know, born a male. You become a man by age. By your age. A certain point in which you are considered a man. But you will always be a gentleman by choice. Be a gentleman. Walk tall. Speak well. And, refrain from using those words that would make your mother cringe. Now, if your mother doesn't cringe, then I don't know what to tell you there. But, speak well. Doesn't mean you have to speak with a Harvard or whatever. It just means, use proper language in the sense of, watch what comes out of your mouth. And more importantly, be a gentleman. Open the doors for ladies, for women. When you're out with your wife or your significant other, look at them. I don't care how long you've known each other. Sandy and I have known each other. We got to look, but we were sophomores in high school many years ago. So when you look at your significant other, look at her like it was when first time you saw her. I can tell you this day, it's amazing. I can tell you this day when I passed Sandy in the halls of our high school, Riverdale High School. Same high school that my oldest daughter just graduated from. But I can tell you exactly what she was wearing and how she made my heart skip a beat. And, a lot of people ask themselves, how do I get that back? Well, you get that back by getting it back. By getting it back. And I know life is rough, and I know that things wear people down and do all of those things. And I understand that sometimes you look and, that credit card bill or whatever, But get past that. Get past that. It's all about affecting change here at the Midnight Patriot. And I'm not a Dr. Phil. I'm not a Dr. Phil you here. But, one of the things, like I said, is that, be the person that you want to be. And a patriot is a person who respects God, country, community, family. So show that. And then when other people see that, then, it allows you to enter into that conversation with them. When you're a gentleman and a lady says, thank you, and you say, no problem, ma'am, or even sir, puts that in their head. And then when they see your Tea Party stickers or whatever on your truck or your vehicle, then they instead of them looking, oh, there's one of them, they're Tea Party members, right? They look at it and say, well, that's a gentleman. But, see how that works? So that's just a little advice. I don't know. I need to kind of listen to my own advice. So I'll report back to you. I'll let you know tomorrow if I was the gentleman that I should be and everything. So, but going back to the GOP and going back to, signs. I want to give you guys hope. I know we lost Virginia. I know we did. It would have been great. It would have been better if we won it. But take solace in this, in knowing this. In order for the Democrats, the liberals, to take Virginia with McAuliffe, they had to cheat. They did. They had to cheat. They gamed the system. As I said earlier, they interjected a libertarian candidate knowing and paid for him and funded his campaign, knowing that he would take the votes away from the Tea Party GOP candidate. So they had to cheat. So, we got them up against the ropes. Can't beat you in a fair fight anymore. They're just going to cheat. Right? The other thing, too, if you notice, McAuliffe's ratings went down right about the time Obamacare came out and his association with the president of Obamacare. I mean, you even heard Richard say, he voted for Obama twice. And I'm hearing that not just from, guests, and I'm hearing it from a lot of people. People are really getting tired of the crap. They really are. Now, granted, there's a lot of crap that goes on in the GOP because the problem is that they're not being truthful with the American people either. So you can't say, well, I have to agree somewhat with what Richard's saying. They're obstructionists. They're not coming out and saying what they really mean. They're sticking to their talking points. You heard one politician, you heard them all. So you're hearing that. You're seeing that. And it's frustrating America. But, like I said, Obamacare, if you associate yourself with Obamacare and you're a politician, America's getting fed up with it. And they're letting people know. The second part, Virginia has a very large government employee base. So the fact that a Tea Party member who ran on the promise of cutting government and reducing federal jobs and governmental jobs still took a very significant vote should have some solace in that. You should be, yeah. This Tea Party candidate had it stacked against him, and he still made a good strong showing. And to tell you how much he had it stacked against him, even his own party, the GOP, really, really didn't put enough effort into his election or his gubernatorial run. Yeah. So he didn't have a whole lot of support, but he still made a strong finish from the GOP. There are people in the GOP that don't like us Tea Parties, or don't like the Tea Party. I'm not associated with the Tea Party. I do believe in some of their values. I don't believe in others. I'm a constitutionalist. I believe in the Constitution of the United States and the powers that it grants the government and the rights and privileges. So I really don't associate myself with one party or the other, because I do see, even in the Tea Party movement, I do see issues. Now the question is you say, well, I'm going to take the lesser of the two evils. My position is most of it's evil. Most of it's controlled. It doesn't take you long to realize, listening to the show, that I believe that most of what goes on in Washington and across this great country, and actually through the whole world, is controlled by an organization or a group of individuals who want to reign over us through the United Nations, Agenda 21s, WTO, Bilderberg, all of those. So until you attack and you address those organizations, you will always get what we're getting. And the reason why you're seeing it more and more is because they're ramping it up more and more. They have been planning and plotting for hundreds of years. Yeah, hundreds of years. And now they're ramping it up. Because if they don't, it's all going to spiral out of control. But so take solace in the fact that this candidate ran a solid campaign for gubernatorial campaign against McAuliffe. Now, for those that don't know, let me give you some ammunition for your water cooler conversations that you're going to have. Because you're going to have individuals. Actually, what we'll do is we're winding down here to a break. So when we get back from the break, I'm going to give you some background about McAuliffe. Sleep with dogs, come up with fleas. I'm going to give you some background behind McAuliffe. So when people start, touting, oh, McAuliffe, just goes to show you America's on, because I can hear it now. America's tired of this Republican GOP Tea Party-led organization. That's why they hired, that's why they elected McAuliffe. I can hear it now. I can hear it. Can you hear it? I can hear it. So I'm going to give you some information when we get back from the break that's going to, that you can kind of say, well, I just want to kind of let you know who you guys elected in the office, or who Virginia did as a gubernatorial candidate. Give you that background. So you can say, yeah, you might have won, but your candidate more than likely won't be there the full 4 years. Being so close to Illinois, I hear and I see and I witness what happens to governors who are corrupt, who even though they are elected are still corrupt. What usually happens to them? They're sitting in federal prison. Senators as well. So, when we get back from the break, we'll talk about McAuliffe. We'll talk about some of the deals he's done. And like I said, I will be surprised, mark this day, I will be surprised if he survives the first 4 years without being indicted for some crimes. So you're listening to the Midnight Patriot Radio Show and Podcast. Join us on the web at www.TheMidnightPatriot.com. That's www.TheMidnightPatriot.com.
Kidnapped and murdered in Pakistan, his family and friends came together to work towards a more humane world.
A foundation was formed in Daniel's name to promote cross-cultural understanding through journalism, music, and innovative communications.
On Daniel Pearl Music Day, thousands of people around the world will unite to promote harmony for humanity,
carrying on his mission of connecting people through words and music.
Join us in using the universal language of music to diminish hatred,
respect differences,
and reach out in friendship.
We invite you to perform, support, or attend a Daniel Pearl Music Day event in October.
Participate in Daniel Pearl Music Day, promoting
America. Welcome home the brave. The brave men and women who serve their country are coming home. Home to their cities and towns. Home to their mountains and valleys. Home to their families and friends. Home to America. Some of these warriors are coming home with wounds you can see, and some with wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Wounded Warrior Project was created to provide the support these wounded veterans need to ensure their return to America is well-adjusted and successful. But we need your help to ensure that our mission is a success. Help us honor and empower these wounded warriors. Contact us at findwwp.org. America, welcome home the brave.
What is that?
Oh, it's my time machine.
Does it work?
Sure, just hit this button.
Whoa, dinosaurs, cool.
Or we can go here.
Hey, that's Napoleon.
Oui.
Or we can go to the future.
Wow, hey, you have this nice house. Do I have a nice house?
No, you didn't save any money. Always spent it on vacations and stuff.
If only there was a way I could go back in time and correct that bad habit.
Yep.
Okay, the time machine is not real, but the saving thing is. Get in the habit of putting some of your money in savings each week through a 401k, savings account, or financial investments. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ideas and easy tips on saving, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
What does this crazy little button do?
Wait, no!
This message brought to you by the American...
Out of control spending. A government that no longer works for the people. Had enough? Then vote for Stone Anthony for president. Replace politicians with a citizen statesman. www.stoneanthony2016.com.
In a moment, cancer changed our lives forever.
At this moment, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital is saving lives with pioneering research and care.
And we'll never have to pay St. Jude for anything, ever.
At this moment, she wants to be in her own bed.
I want to be back at school with my friends.
I want to be outside playing.
Please take a moment and visit.
You're listening to the Midnight Patriot Radio Show and Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You can reach us on the web every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time till 12 a.m. Or on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. That's www.themidnightpatriot.com. So right before we went off the break, I was talking about Terry McAuliffe. And the fact that he probably won't make it through his fourth term, or his 4-year term, as governor-elect, governor of Virginia. This is a guy who has been at pretty much every Clinton scandal ever. Long history. And it's not just against individuals, it's against his own party. Back in 2004, Terry McAuliffe didn't just use his business contacts to fatten the accounts of the Democratic National Committee. He also defiantly exploited them to inflate his own fortune. Fundraising scandals. He's a bundler. That was his job. Remember the Buddhist temple? McAuliffe. Remember that? The Washington Post calls McAuliffe a Washington insider who got rich as he rose to power within the Democratic Party, and even called himself the Hucksucker in his own autobiography. The Hucksucker. Huckster. For McAuliffe, politics and business have always been intertwined. Washington Post. Watchdog.org claims McAuliffe even put $1.35 million towards the purchase of a New York home for Bill and Hillary in 1999. Oh, that's right. Remember, Hillary was a Chicago gal? Windy City, Cubs. Remember that? But we already had a senator being groomed in the city. There wasn't enough room for both egos. Then it's kind of funny that they both went at each other for the presidential election. President Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, for those that don't know. And we talked about this in the last hour with Richard Muti, author of Essays for My Father. We talked about the birther movement and, adamantly his disdain for it. We can differ on opinion, but we can still have great conversation. So it's all about here, the Midnight Patriot. If you want to join in the conversation, give us a call, 347-205-9899. That's 347-205-9899. Or you can call us on the 1-800 number, 1-800-580-4870. Let us know how that's working, if it is even working. But we talked about the birther movement. A lot of people don't realize this. The birther movement was actually started by the Clinton camp. Yeah. If you go back and look at the records, and I heard that, and I really didn't follow up with it until just recently. But if you go back and look, it was Hillary Clinton that raised the issue of President Barack Obama's eligibility to be the President of the United States. Yeah. But you don't hear that anymore. It's a GOP right-wing Tea Party movement to do that. And like I said, is that, all I know wasn't there, don't know. All I know is what I have access to. And what I have had access to and what I've seen. And I've seen, birth certificates and all this stuff from Kenya, and, you throw that stuff out. But what I have seen is a audio or video recording of his grandmother, who clearly says he is a son of this village. Now, to you and I, that would mean, well, he's, part of this village because he's originally from here. His heritage is from here. But no, in Kenyan, in the translation of that, and they had linguists who actually talked about it, that actually means he was born here. So you just got to go with the words, go with the evidence, have the video, BBC, go out there and look at it. That's the first thing. The second thing is that, the White House put a birth certificate up there as a PDF. It's since been taken down. But the original one that was put up there had what they call metadata. So because of forgery laws and stuff, the government requires that if you can alter a document, there's got to be some kind of track of how it was altered. And this thing called metadata is there. And the metadata on the PDF apparently shows that the document was altered. And Sheriff Joe Apprazo down in Arizona actually hired a team of document forensics experts and computer experts. And they tore it apart. They used the same methodology that you would use in the court of law. And they were able to find fault in it. Find fault in it so much that at the very least, it would be inadmissible in the court of law. But at the greater part, it would be considered perjury if you introduced such a document. Well, it would be perjury if you were the fraudulent one who produced the document. So, like I said, got to look at it. So this is McAuliffe. The Examiner, Terry McAuliffe is a scam artist who could teach a few things to Bernie Madoff. That's a personal attack. Probably true, but, we want facts. I'm a facts guy. I want the numbers. Here's a list of some of the high point scandals that McAuliffe is facing. He invested $100 in a real estate deal and made millions off of it. The guy is either a freaking genius or he's a criminal. But he made $100. He invested $100 and walked away with $1 million in a real estate deal. Something was going on there. There's a Teamster money cycling scheme, so apparently he's involved in that. Obviously, the Buddhist temple fundraiser, we all know about that, where the Buddhists handed Vice President Gore a sack full of money. So he's part of that. Implemented that when he was, he's a bundler. That's what he does. Raise money for the Clintons. Remember the pay to sleep in Lincoln's bed? Yeah, he was the one behind that, the one that orchestrated it. Want to come to the White House? Pay a fine and you can sleep in the White House. Hotel White House. If you paid enough money. Yeah, remember that? Lincoln bedroom. The other thing too is if you want to hang out with the Clintons, pay them and you can hang out with the Clintons. We're not talking dinners or anything. These are personal, if you want to hang out with them, pay us enough money, the DNC, pay us enough money, and we'll get you a private sitting with the Clintons. Made $18 million on a company that failed. Fiber optics company. How do you, company fails. How do you make $18 million off a failed company? Got to ask yourself. Those are just some of the main ones. If you dig in his past, you will find a lot more. A lot more. So that's the gentleman that is now the governor-elect of the great state Commonwealth of Virginia. And he squeaked in there. Didn't win easily. So take solace in that, my fellow patriots. Take solace in that. The fact that it was difficult. They had to cheat. They had to prop up another candidate to take votes away from the Tea Party candidate. So not all is lost. Obviously, Republicans took New Jersey. We'll see. We'll see how that turns out. I have my suspicions. But we'll see. Time will tell. Time will tell. As I sit here and kind of look over the news, obviously we had the Senate hearing today with Seabrus. What a joke. What a crock. I mean, the reality of it is, and Richard was right when we talked about this. When you watch those hearings, they're typically talking to an empty crowd. Senators come and go. They get their 5 minutes of FaceTime on national TV and say, oh, look at us, we're doing something. But they're really not doing anything. Last night I was watching CMS director as she was getting asked questions by the Senate Judiciary Committee. Or the Senate. And I found it amazing that once again there really wasn't any hard or difficult questions. The only question is actually somewhat sad. Mark Kirk from Illinois was, and I don't want to, I've met Mark Kirk. And I know that after his stroke, he's not the same Mark Kirk that I met. But, now granted, his frustration is this. We paid these companies a tremendous amount of money. Do you not realize that we have paid these companies more money? They could have just given every American, not every working American, not every, American over 50 years of age, every American, right down to the one that just got born 2 seconds ago. They could have given every American $1 million. $1 million. They could have given them $1 million some change. They could have kept some. They wanted to. But they could have given every American in the United States $1 million. Now, if you had $1 million, can you imagine what type of policy you could have in the private insurance industry? Can you imagine? $1 million. You probably, I doubt it, but maybe could have had the same policy that those politicians up on the Hill have. For $1 million. They could have given every American $1 million. They could have wrote every American a check for $1 million. People don't, you don't understand that. Instead, they gave it to a company who built a product that is flawed. It doesn't work. $1 million to every American. I think there's 317 million Americans. By the time this is all said and done, they're estimating that this is going to be well over $500 million. $500 million. They could have given you $2 million. Just in case, God forbid, the million wasn't enough. That's the insanity of this government, this administration. To the sane who are looking in. I want to stress that because that's a talking point right there. The amount of money they gave this company to build a product that's flawed and doesn't work and is a security risk for your personal information. They could have taken that same money and wrote everybody a check for $1 million. That ought to be the conversation that you have around the water cooler tomorrow. And when it's all said and done, it's going to be more like $2 million every American citizen. And like I said, I want to stress this to you. Every American citizen. The one that just got born. That tells you how out of control and how out of touch this government has become. But we get what we get, right? I kind of like the approach that we talked about earlier. When they come up for election, don't elect any of them. You don't care, just don't elect them. We know Congress right now is at its lowest approval rating in the history of the United States. They're hovering in the 13% range. 13% of the American people like Congress. It's probably the same 13% that are willing to outlaw H2O because it's poisonous. You ever see those videos? You ever see the videos on YouTube? Where they go out and get people to sign their petitions. The funny one, I think Penn and Teller did this one. Penn and Teller got people to sign a petition outlawing water. So that's your 13%. So when you get the very bottom of the barrel, that's the 13%. So I kind of like the approach of just don't send them back. Whoever runs, vote them in. Can't be any worse off than what you got now. right? Who knows? They might actually do something. It's just amazing. Just utterly, utterly amazing. So, I want to bring you guys up to speed on another story that we've been tracking here. This just tells you how insane our country has become in regard to protecting the criminals and taking away your rights. It's amazing that the criminals get afforded all of the efforts of the law in some regard. And then you, the patriot citizen, is demonized and criminalized. And what I'm talking about is a story that came off of Maryland today. Let me bring it up here. I still need a Sturbly. So, gentleman's home with his wife. He's in Maryland. So he's at home with his wife and a friend. Tech sergeant in the United States Air Force. So he shot and killed a home intruder by the name of Kendall Green just before 2 a.m. on September 15, 2013 in the town of Glen Bean, Maryland. Pinkerton shot Green once in the chest from 10 to 15 feet away, but Green had continued to advance towards him. His wife Jessica and two friends who were at home in the house, Peter O'Neill, Pinkerton's attorney, said, that's when Pinkerton shot him again. He died on the scene. Well, now he's being charged with second-degree murder. On the sole basis for the charge that he should have called 911 before shooting the guy. There you go. There's no nationwide average response time for 911 calls. I can tell you in the city where I live in, nonviolent crime, it's about 9 minutes. Violent crime, it's about 3 minutes. When a person has broken into your home at 2 a.m. in the morning, 3 minutes feels like 3 hours. But they should have called 911. That's how insane this country and the anti-gun movement has gotten. Man can't even protect his wife and friends. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. We'll bring gonna dig into this, find out what the prosecutor's thinking. The judge who's presiding over the case just released. He said he finds it amazing that the probable cause statement provided to him by investigators is only a scant 2 pages long, with only 2 sentences pertaining to the shooting. So they have a 2-page document, and it doesn't talk about the actual shooting. It's about everything else. So, you're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. You join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. Love to have you join the conversation. When we get back, we're going to talk about some Iranians that were caught with fake plane tickets. Once again, the attack of the liberal agenda against us Christians on national media.
I'm Eric Kibble, 10-year veteran of the NFL.
I'm Captain Mark McNeil, 16-year veteran of the Army National Guard. Whether on the playing field or the battlefield, you must be both physically and mentally fit.
If you're injured, you owe it to yourself and your teammates to get back to peak performance. It doesn't matter if you've got a broken bone, depression, a traumatic brain injury, PTSD, or another psychological wound.
Getting help shows strength, not weakness.
To find out more, go to realwarriors.net or call
Out of control spending. A government that no longer works for the people. Had enough? Then vote for Stone Anthony for president. Replace politicians with a citizen statesman. www.stoneanthony2016.com.
America, welcome home the brave. The brave men and women who serve their country are coming home. Home to their cities and towns. Home to their mountains and valleys. Home to their families and friends. Home to America. Some of these warriors are coming home with wounds you can see, and some with wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Wounded Warrior Project was created to provide the support these wounded veterans need to ensure their return to America is well-adjusted and successful. But we need your help to ensure that our mission is a success. Help us honor and empower these wounded warriors. Contact us at findwwp.org. America, welcome home the brave.
In a moment, cancer changed our lives forever.
We were told nothing could be done to enjoy these final moments together.
But in that moment, when all seemed lost,
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital gave us hope.
Because at this moment, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital is saving lives with pioneering research and care. We're changing the way the world treats childhood cancer by sharing our discoveries with doctors and scientists everywhere.
And we'll never have to pay St. Jude for anything, ever.
At this moment, she wants to be in her own bed.
I want to be back at school with my friends.
I want to be outside playing.
Please take a moment and join St. Jude in finding cures and saving children.
You're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You can join me here every evening, 9 p.m. to 11, sometimes 12 a.m. Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday. Join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. That's www.themidnightpatriot.com. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. All those social media sites. Get the word out. Let other fellow patriots know that they do have a voice here at the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. Now, if you want to have a voice, you can always call us at 347-205-9899. That's 347-205-9899. Or you can call us on our 1-800 number. New number that we just put in, so help us test it out. It's 1-800-580-4870. That's 1-800-580-4870. Right before we went off the break, we talked about the military. And I guess this would be a good segment. Actually, the liberals, gun grabbers, charging a man with second-degree murder because he didn't call 911. One thing you're going to learn about us here at the Midnight Patriot, we respect and we honor those that put on this country's uniform. And for the last couple of days, we haven't done our honor tribute. And I know that a couple of you guys have been asking. And the reason being is because, thank God, we haven't lost a soldier. But unfortunately, I have bad news. I need to report to our fellow patriots and citizens that we lost a brave soldier. And so with that, we will honor him, his service to this great country. Army Sergeant, First Class, Forrest W. Robinson, November 3rd, 2013. If you are an active duty soldier, retired soldier, and you need help, please contact us at the Midnight Patriot. That's www.themidnightpatriot.com. Email me, Jeff, at themidnightpatriot.com. I will make sure personally that I find you the help that you need. We have thousands of listeners, fans, and I would say about 80% of those are retired military or even active duty. So I'm sure amongst our resources, we can help you. If you're a family member of a soldier and you need anything, reach out to us. Send me an email, Jeff at themidnightpatriot.com. We will make sure that your request gets to those that can help you, that can give you what you need. And for those who have lost family members, we just want to say how grateful we are here at the Midnight Patriot and also the Norton family. Our hearts go out to you. Our prayers go out to you every night. We understand the sacrifices that your family members have made for this country. Regardless of your political beliefs, your beliefs about these wars, you must respect the men and women that put on this country's uniform and put themselves in direct harm's way. And I ask that if you see a soldier in uniform, take a few minutes. Shake their hand. Let them know that you appreciate the services that they provide for our freedom and our country. If you see a veteran, you see an active duty soldier, and you're in a restaurant, buy them a cup of coffee. Let them know that you appreciate their sacrifices. I was really hoping that I could get halfway through the month. Halfway. But we're in the 6th day before we had to do that. You know, on the same lines, you know, we talk about, you know, these real pieces of work out there who manipulate the system to get free stuff. Because it is free, you know. And then the ones that go on YouTube that brag about it. You know the ones I'm talking about, right? You know, we've played their videos, their audio clips on here many times before. You know, it's bad enough that they...
Okay, EBT is basically about electronic benefit transfer.
You know these?
It's basically about welfare.
These people?
And having children and...
having children?
Just for money, just for the state, so the state of California can pay for WIC,
food,
PR, food stamps,
home,
I
daycare.
mean, the state of California. I mean, if you want EBT,
you know these people. Yeah, I just can't. I can't do it anymore. I can't play it. I just want to go. You know, we need another server, and I can't afford to smash this one into a million pieces. But you know those people, right? have no problem, have a video on how to manipulate the system. You know that this country is seriously got a priority issue. When a person can go and get those programs, but then our own military, men and women, have to wait over a year to get their services through the VA, get treatment that they deserve, that they earned, that we are obligated to give them. The average wait is 354 days. There's roughly 26,000 veterans waiting for their disability compensation claims. That's just in Texas alone. 354 days. But yet, if I'm a gamer of the system, if I'm an Obama phone, I can go into any social service office and within 30 days get a WIC card, get free Medicare. You not see something wrong with that, America? And I know my fellow patriots are just about as outraged about it as I am, but that's the reality. That's what you're dealing with, and those are the arguments you need to take to the streets. When people tell you, well, you're human beings. You got to take care of the needy. You got to take care of them. Okay, what about the soldiers? Why is it that a soldier has to wait 354 days to get the service that they need because of their defense of this country? But a person can sit on their I'll calm down. A person can sit at home. Sit at home. Put out videos. Put out videos on where the best state is.
I mean, the state of California. If you want EBT, the state of California is the best place to get your money. They'll pay you the most, and yeah, it's like $221 for GR and about $179 for food. That's for each person. So, yeah, you get free daycare. You get free food. You can go to fast food restaurants now. Domino's Pizza is accepting EBT.
Domino's. Oh, wow, Domino's.
McDonald's. I haven't saw a sign for McDonald's. Subway. You can get your you can take.
What about Burger King?
Like
Taco Bell.
$221 in cash. You get free daycare. So if you have 4 kids.
And yet our soldiers, the men and women who have put their lives on the line for this country, have to wait 354 days. We got a priority problem in this country, America. We really do. And it's not going to change. It's not going to change unless you change it. It's not going to change unless you stand up and you tell the politicians no more. And if that means the plan is elect none, then elect none. But let them know that you are no longer going to allow our men and women of our armed services who need the help to wait 354 days while this immigrant with her weaves and her 4 kids is producing videos and YouTube videos and showing people how to game the system. You know what? What I would say is let them all go to California. I'm sorry for the great state, Congressman Conover, I'm sorry. But let them all go to California. That way we know where they're at, and then we can address it one at a time. Let them all go, let them go to California. We'll put a big fence. The rest of the United States will forget about the immigration fence. We'll just put a big fence around California. It just infuriates me to know that these people are getting these programs knowingly committing a fraud because she is committing a fraud, by the way, because she's up there telling you how to fraudulently game the system. There are people sitting in federal prison right now for explaining to people how to minimize their tax burden, because the IRS felt that that was wrong. So she's doing a video. But yet we got men and women having to wait 354 days for their service. That is so wrong. We have a priority problem in this country. We have a priority problem. So, yesterday we talked about China, death by China. We had candidate Stone Anthony for 2016 presidency on. And he talked about his jobs plan. He talked about jobs, bringing jobs and manufacturing back to the United States. In the news today, you're seeing a more and more frustration from countries that have loaned us money. They want to, like any good debt collector, they want to get paid something, and they don't want our money. They don't want our money because it ain't worth anything. No, China is now proposing that we sell them in lieu of the trade debt. They want land. That's right. China will take land from America. They want to set up development zones, Chinese development zone. Now, they've been doing this for a while. Our harbors, stuff like that. Consco, you see their trucks. They've been doing this for a while, but now they want to kind of gear it up. We owe them an upwards of $3 trillion. They know that our money isn't worth anything. So the only thing that we have that's worth something is our land. And now there's a proposal out there that they want to take our land as collateral. That's part of an evolving proposal Beijing has been developing quietly since 2009, Corsi writes, to convert more than $1 trillion of U.S. debt it owes into equity. Under the plan, China would own U.S. business, U.S. infrastructure, and U.S. high-value land, all with the U.S. government guarantee against loss. Bakwe, the professor of economics in the School of Public Policy and Management at Tsinghua University in Beijing, proposed in 2009 a plan for the U.S. government to guarantee foreign instrument investments to the United States. There you go. Remember that video that they put out, the ad campaign, where the professor's talking to the students in China? Remember that one? Subtitles, and everybody's like, that's just ridiculous. I got a family. Well, they can't take it with them. No, they're not going to take it with them. They're just going to come over here and take it. Well, that's going to lead to a problem. Because they build these development zones, they're going to have to protect them somehow. And the last time I checked, foreign troops on U.S. soils would kind of create a problem. So, the other thing that the Chinese are doing, you guys got to kind of watch this. And we've always said this, that once America loses its dollar status, they can't control our money. They control the world economy through the dollar, right? And that's kind of what's keeping us out of hot water. I mean, we're in pretty deep water right now. Well, China is now starting to influence the people's money on the world economy. With deals from London to Singapore, China is seeking a greater role for its yuan currency in global marketing to challenge the hegemony of the almighty dollar. The most attention-grabbing reform planned for Shanghai's new free trade zones is free convertibility of the yuan, also known as the renminbi, or people's money, an unprecedented change which would allow greater use of the currency. So they're slowly undermining the U.S. dollar. And the problem is our politicians aren't willing to stand up against them because, they're the only ones buying our debt, supposedly. That's the whole biblical part. You're a slave. Whoever holds your debt, you're a slave to. God warned you of that. And that's exactly what we're having here. We are selling ourselves down the river because of our debt. You want to talk about national security. That's the most number one national security issue. It's not terrorists. You're more like, it's not terrorists. You're more likely to get hit by lightning 3 times than you are to die in some terrorist attack. But you're more than likely than all of it to become a slave to the Chinese. We already are with the products that we have to buy and all of the different things. Here's an article. We talk about this quite a bit. I make no bones of the fact that I'm a Christian. Card carrying. Bible reading. I believe in Jesus Christ, and I believe that he's my Savior. I do. Don't make any bones about it. And if that offends you, then listen to the wrong show. Go somewhere else. And the reason why I believe that is not because of some doctrine. Trust me, I went through the doctrinization of Christianity and stuff. No, it's because of what's happened in my own life. Things that I can't explain. Things that are just short of a miracle. Short of a miracle. And I can't explain it. So there has to be some higher power out there. But one of the things I do see, and we're seeing it quite a bit, this administration, the mainstream media, attacking Christians for their Christian beliefs. Now, when is it okay for a media to go up there and spout off their beliefs and everybody has to take it and go, oh yeah, I believe you? But yet it's perfectly okay for her or for the media. And I'm talking about an article, Ann Curry attacked Kirk Cameron and his beliefs, his religious beliefs, as hate speech. Really? So I'm wondering, Miss Cameron, would you get a Muslim Islam up there and would you attack him for the Sharia laws and their hate against women and their hate against everything that's non-Muslim? Would you have the I gotta tame it down. It's a family show. But you know where I was going with that. Would you, Miss Cameron? Or Miss Curry? It's funny that you'll attack a Christian because Christians by their very nature and their teachings turn the other cheek. You know that. And you know that all it would do is, if you did incite a Christian, all you would do is twist that and say, oh, look at the Christian. You know that. So you bring a man of God, a man that has very deep religious feelings on there, and you criticize him, and you call him a hate speech. You tell him that his speech is hate speech. It's not hate speech. It's just what's taught in the Bible. I don't hate the moon because the sun rises. I don't hate the sun because the moon rises. It's just, it's in the Bible. It's in what we believe. But, what really gets me is I want to see the interview where you bring in the Islam or the Muslim cleric and you ask him if Sharia law is hate speech. If beheading someone because they don't believe the way you want, is that hate speech? Why don't you ask those tough questions? I'll give you a little word of advice. When you do it, make sure that there's a wall between you and the Islam and the cleric, because you'll see what hate speech looks like. So it's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. So you're listening to the Midnight Patriot Radio Show. We're going to be wrapping up here. When we get back, we'll just kind of coast into the evening and, wrap things up. I got a few more things I want to go over before we batten down the hatches and head in for the night. But you're listening to the Midnight Patriot Radio Show and podcast. Join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. That's www.themidnightpatriot.com for more information and news.
After Daniel Pearl was kidnapped and murdered in Pakistan, his family and friends came together to work towards a more humane world.
A foundation was formed in Daniel's name to promote cross-cultural understanding through journalism, music, and innovative communications.
On Daniel Pearl Music Day, thousands of people around the world will unite to promote harmony for humanity,
carrying on his mission of connecting people through words and music.
Join us in using the universal language of music to diminish hatred,
respect differences,
and reach out in friendship.
We invite you to perform, support, or attend a Daniel Pearl Music Day event in October.
Participate in Daniel Pearl Music Day, promoting
out of control spending, a government that no longer works for the people. Had enough? Then vote for Stone Anthony for president. Replace politicians with a citizen statesman. www.stoneanthony2016.com. You're listening to the Midnight Patriot podcast and radio show. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You can join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com, or you can listen to us live every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. till 12 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can download us on iTunes, all of the major. We're on Stitcher. We're on SoundCloud. We're, all the major ones. You can download us. Soon to be, hopefully, still waiting approvals for iHeartRadio. So keep your fingers crossed. But we need your help to do that. You need to let like us on Facebook. Get the word out. Get the word out. We talk about the attack of Christianity here, and we'll kind of end with this in this country. The Supreme Court today actually is hearing a case about invocations at city council meetings. Now, they already heard a case about 30 years ago saying that legislatures may begin sessions with invocations. But of course now, there's a group who feel that needs to be ruled out. And in particular, I actually saw the video earlier today. Saw the video, and it was disturbing. There was a lady of one religion, an atheist, and they felt that the eyes of the people were upon them. Okay. Sorry. Well, because you're uncomfortable, we have to change our beliefs? No. They're not forced to pray. They're not forced to participate. There's no one criticizing them and telling them that they have to do it. But if a person chooses to pray in front of you and you don't like it, but you have the right to go to court, so you can't do that? Because you got to remember, these people that sit on these boards in these city governments are Christians. They have a belief, and if I want to sit at a table before I do anything and I want to pray about it, then I have every right to. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry. And if there's a group of people around me that want to do the same thing, oh well. No one's forcing anybody to pray. Duck Dynasty, they were talking about how they were going to bleep out when they say Jesus Christ, or ask them not to do it. Systematic attack on American values. A systematic attack. Goes back to my whole conversation about communism and socialism in this country, and how our leaders are aghast at our religious Christian beliefs. And they want to do that. You're seeing it time and time again. Military personnel telling if they support a certain religious belief or an organization, they can be brought up on charges under UCC. Systematic attack. So, as we batten down the hatches of this ship and we roll it into its harbor, I just want to leave you guys with one thing. We're all in this together. We need each other. If you're a patriot and you've got to start developing real relationships with fellow patriots. Join us on Facebook. We'll try to find an organization in your area of people, not just virtual, but we need people, because virtual can be turned off with a flip of a switch. We need people. We need to be able to stand. So as we take out the evening, I just want to say God bless you. God keep you until we talk to each other again. Listen to us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. All music is provided by Madison Rising. Go out to madisonrising.com for more information and details. I will let you know that David, the lead singer, will be joining us next week for a few minutes to discuss Madison Rising and their music. Good night. God bless you.
I found myself overseas, just protecting the dreams that we had. And there's nothing more important than giving all I have to give. I'm fighting for the things that I believe. It's time to go, my country's calling me. Now go walking through the door, leaving with my head high. Set my country through this world. I'll come back with I got home after my tour was through. I couldn't wait to take her as my wife. I asked her father if he would approve, and he said, son, give her a happy life. I found myself overjoyed.